Hi everyone, this is Mary Reed, and I'm very excited to share an experience that came through for my private community about a week ago, a little over a week ago, that is kind of a follow-up to the last video that I posted on the up-leveling and recalibration, that very, very big experience. This is a deepening and sort of an expansion of that as well. Absolutely beautiful teaching and meditation that came out of that. So I'm very happy to share this with a wider audience. Now, before we get into this, I want to say a word about ads on my channel. My channel is not monetized. I don't want ads on there. I have all the buttons clicked for no ads, etc. So it is just as frustrating for the creators who have the ads placed on their videos and don't want them as it is for viewers who have to tolerate those ads and don't want them. So there are two ways that I know, actually three ways that I know of that you can, one way for sure, watch them without the ads, second way possibly, and third way, you have a window. The first way is supposedly YouTube premium accounts can watch any kind of streaming without ads. Just like Netflix and other things, if you pay a higher premium or pay a premium, you can get those videos without ads. That's the first way. The second way is to join my community. My private community has access to all of the archives, to all of the raw recordings of the community gatherings. Every Sunday, we gather every single Sunday. We also gather on Wednesdays for book readings. And there's no commercials anywhere, no ads anywhere in there. So as soon as you join, you get all of the old videos as well. So it's quite a library of teachings and meditations and that sort of stuff. And then the third way is to watch the video as soon as they come out on my channel before YouTube gets their paws on them. So there's like a 24-hour window where there's no ads in there, and then all of a sudden it's gone through the process, the marketing process, and they've tacked on just a ton of ads. So I know that it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me as well. So I strongly encourage you, if you want to sit with these meditations in particular with no ads, to look into the other options. All right, that's my little pitch for that. And I try to share these specific kinds of experiences more publicly when I think that it's meant for a wider audience, but also just to make it available for free. So I'm sorry that for free means having to tolerate some ads, but this is the best I can do in my own sort of capabilities right now. All right, enjoy this teaching. I think you're going to really love it. Now, I also want to mention at the end of this teaching, there's a whole piece that I do in talking from interior experience of the quantum mechanics of everything that this teaching is going to address. So please stay tuned for that. All right, I hope you enjoy. Namaste. I do know what we're going to focus on tonight, and it's really lovely. It's really, really lovely. And it's kind of a continuation of last week. We did so much beautiful, big-ass clearing and restructuring and upgrading and recalibrating and all of that sort of stuff. Thank you to everybody who has written about your response to that, what happened with you, either in the moment or later. I've had a really big week in follow-up to that, and it just feels like it's just continuing. It's like rippling out. That session just keeps going and going and going. So tonight's going to be a little bit of a continuation of that, and I can already feel it's just intended to be soft. And there's a reason for this. The softening here is a way to kind of allow us to just relax and allow more of that process to continue. But they want to use a particular framework here. And that framework is divine relationship. And about 30 minutes ago, as I was just sitting in meditation, feeling into what might be coming up tonight, they gave me a beautiful metaphor to use, a beautiful, easy teaching for this. Now, a few weeks ago, I did a meditation. We had a teaching on unveiling. Remember this? It was this beautiful, just letting everything, all the labels kind of fall away, all of the veil between us, around us, within us fall away. and revealing that it's all just love in this way and this way and this way. And they gave the analogy there of like the candy wrapper, right? That there's a wrapper around everything with a label on it. So they gave the example of the pen. It's like there's a candy wrapper on here that says pen. And so we relate to it as pen. But if we take off the candy wrapper, it's just essentially fundamentally just love in this way, right? So we have a different kind of relationship to it. Same thing with us. So they had this beautiful meditation on unveiling then, but that too included kind of softening all of our ideas or labels or expectations of who or what we are or who or what anything else is, right? So it was really beautiful. And this is a continuation of that as well. And the metaphor they gave was, you might imagine that there is an actor, a theater actor, who's got a role in a play that's being critiqued, and they know it's going to be critiqued, and they know the person who's going to be sitting in the audience doing the critiquing. So they know who to watch for. They know this person. So this person in an acting role is going to be seen through the lens of critiquing their performance, right? Now, the critic in the audience is also there in a role. And this critic is seeing this person through a particular lens with particular expectations or standards that they're evaluating, right? So these two beings come together through kind of a narrow relationship. It's framed, right? But they're both just playing a role. The critic is playing the role of a critic. The actor is playing the role of an actor, and within that, a particular character role. So these two are in relationship through lens, through a restrictive limitation formula, right? It's already just set up like that. Now, you might imagine that two other people just meet at a dog park. They don't know anything about each other. You can already feel in the prospect of them meeting, they're more open, right? They don't have any kind of narrowing of the lens through which they're evaluating or meeting this person. They have a common ground of liking dogs. So they're much more open and available to a wider, deeper, multidimensional kind of relationship. Make sense? Now, we all walk through life kind of like the critic and the actor. We see a flower that's labeled this, we expect it to look like this, bloom at this time, et cetera, right? We perceive ourselves to be the human assessing the beauty or performance or perfection of the flower. We do this when we meet each other. I am Mary in the role of a mystic wisdom guide, meeting somebody else who's a student or somebody who doesn't know about my work, and I'm going to have a relationship in that framework. Makes sense? Whether it's nature, human beings, we all come to the table set up with a limitation because we have ideas about what a woman should be, or what a student should be, or what a great football player should be. You see? What a pen should be. So we're constantly analyzing, we're in these transactional kinds of relationships, and these relationships layered with all kinds of expectations. And that's what we're bringing to it in ourselves as well. Our defenses, our insecurities, right? We're not fully available to divine relationship. We're very available to human relationship or conditioned relationship based on historical reference. Makes sense? You see how limiting we walk around in our life in relationship? We have needs, we have standards, we have judgments, we have expectations. All of these things are just like little obstacles to a purity of relationship, where we get to experience without all of the obstacles, without all the blocks, without all the maze that we have to maneuver through. We get to experience the purity of divinity in ourselves and in everything that we meet. When we really start to relax, when we really start to just trust our complete and total availability, our complete and total openness to being in relationship with self and with all of life differently. And what that means is that we get to then start to experience this realm the way that the divine experiences it. In the purity of knowing the divinity in everything, the awe and wonder of a pen, the awe and wonder of a critic, the awe and wonder of the ability to act out a role, to step into something else, the awe and wonder of a flower, and the awe and wonder of being in all kinds of potential for relationship with everything. Not just a singular pathway, but every potential pathway. Make sense? See, this is one very big open door to step out of limitation and into far greater experiential relational freedom. Relational freedom. Now, when we do this, we're not just freeing up ourselves, we're also freeing the very thing that we're opening to see the divinity in. We're meeting it at a place that it necessarily doesn't see itself, particularly with humans. So this is very much about softening into trust. A lot of the reasons why we have our limitations is because we have a lot of our walls up. We have a lot of those conditioned, concretized old patterns of protection and pretense up. And we're coming to a point now, they just can't stay up. They just can't sustain. They're dissolving. The winds of change are literally blowing them down. We also just simply don't need them anymore. They're not serving us in a way that perhaps they might have at one time. So last week, when we did all of this clearing and this upgrade and this recalibration, we really opened up our field. And so we're gonna just play on that, on our capability for opening more, and let ourselves soften into greater availability, greater relational availability. Yeah, good. All right, well, let's do that then. Let's do that. Let's let ourselves be guided here, literally by the softening. Take a nice, good deep breath in. And a lovely, easy, relaxing breath out. And we can be aware right off the bat here of the feeling, the total awareness of the feeling of softening. Literally letting ourselves soften into the core of our being. And from there, begin to soften into our unitive field. Just focus again on that nice, good, deep breath in. And be aware of that breath moving into the core of your being, helping everything beautifully soften. Letting all little micro tensions just release. Now, as we're focusing here, as we are inciting here, the core of our being, we're doing this intentionally. We're inciting this permission and this willingness to trust at the core of your being. Now, if you feel any tension, any tightness, any fear, well, it's all right. Everything is allowed to be here. Nothing has to change. But we will say the energies here know exactly what to do. We don't have to force. We simply relax as we can. We are as we are. Take another good deep breath in. Relax into the core of your being. And we can begin to feel that relaxation expanding, deepening out into our unified field here. Now, we don't have to force union here. Union is already at hand. It's already in place. It's already happening. All we're doing is relaxing the feeling awareness here into it, feeling it, allowing our awareness to experience it, allowing our awareness to experience what is already in place. So we're relaxing any barriers to it, any barriers to our awareness. And as we do this, without any effort, we are sending a signal. We are transmitting a yes, an availability to all divine presence here, to say, yes, let's do this. Yes, I'm available for divine relationship, for the discovery of what all that is, multi-dimensionally, not through any narrow lens, not through any old ideas, but through the truth of all potential and possibility. Take another good deep breath in. And beautifully relax. Just letting everything fall open, more open, more open. We're letting ourselves soften into a kind of ethereal state, a floaty, light kind of state, literally the way that you might imagine light feels. Now, we will remind you we are continuing to facilitate the alchemy that was powerfully set in motion in our last gathering. There is always divine relationship going on within us, individually and collectively. So as we're saying yes to mindfully, consciously, intentionally be present in awareness with this, we're also sending this signal to ourselves, to every aspect of our being. Without any preconceived definitions, historical reference, conditioned relational patterns. We're letting it all fall away just for a moment. We're giving everything within the permission to simply, authentically be without any definition. Now, as we're speaking, we can literally feel flow where there has been stagnation. We can feel openness where there has been constriction. We can feel some emotional release in a lot of this too. Now, we are not just facilitating the visceral, experiential awareness of this. We're also inciting here a reorientation, a mindful reorientation that we can be aware, we can choose to be present in divine relationship at any time, at all times. To decide very clearly, my intention is to be here, present, whenever, wherever, in divine relationship, for the potential impossibilities to be revealed without any lenses, without any restrictions, without any limitations, without any expectations, for the greatest, highest potential impossibility to be revealed. With self and absolutely everything we encounter. Now, we can feel also in this field an incredibly deep relief. It's like no longer having to hold it together And that includes pretense, having to present to the world like we've got our shit together. Now, what happens here is that we begin to walk much more lightly in our authentic state of being. And by that we mean more true to our nature, more true to our essence. We become far more radiant in our authenticity. Because in truth, in truth, in truth, in truth, we're incredibly luminous. Now, as we begin to relax into walking in this openness, in this availability in our day-to-day lives, we also become available to divine relationship with the entire field altogether. The field of all that is. All that is. So we literally send the signal to the whole entire field. Available. Available for connection, for communication, for deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper realization, meaning coming into more and more and more and more truth, multi-dimensionally, more and more of our true capabilities, multi-dimensionally. You see this happening all around the world. Most of you see this also already happening within your own being, coming into more awareness, more capabilities, more insights, more synchronicities, divine relationship. Now we can feel a lot of connection happening here, more things relating, being invited into energetic relationship in the field. There's a lot more participation here in the conscious activity. Now, implied in this is a beautiful relief for the mind. Your mind, your precious mind, is the only thing holding in place the veil between and around everything. We'll go back to the analogy of the flower. This is such and such flower, supposed to be in this color, blooming at this time for this long. It requires these elements, these conditions. You've claimed the relationship and the potential of the flower in history, in restriction. And in doing so, you've placed yourself in limitation. So as we more and more and more relax, any expectations, any old historical reference, our mind begins to ease even more, even more, even more, even more, to the point where it just can't be bothered to leap up and to find a old historical reference. It's not out of laziness, it's out of relief. Our mind, throughout this awakening process, and particularly those of us on the leading edge, our mind, feel what we're saying here. Our mind is really genuinely very eager to feel the relief of companionship with the heart, to feel taken care of through the heart, to not have to be the lead anymore, to not have to carry the burdens anymore, including the encyclopedic burden of all the labels and expectations and analysis of all of history. Our mind is very eager to be co-creative in divine relationship. Now, we speak that specifically to acknowledge and honor the mind. Now, we want to be sure that you understand this is not just a trite, nice little idea. It is not some simple way to simply relax more deeply into the present moment. It does that, sure. But we're talking fundamentally here about manifestation, about co-creation, about transmutation, about literally creating a new world. This is the fundamentals of what Paul Selig's guides talk about in a world made new. When we stop claiming the old, the new is available. When we stop claiming the water, we can create wine. When we stop claiming judgment and separation and fear and the veil, we begin to create and experience freedom. Ever more, ever more, ever more of our higher potential, our higher capabilities, our wondrous co-creative manifestations. But we cannot step into that very real capability while we're still claiming the old, while we're still co-creating the old, while we're still demanding the old. Now, the beautiful thing about this reorientation here is that the entry into it is so simple. As with everything, it begins within. It just begins right within our own being. That that we stop limiting our own experience of self, our own divine expression by our own labels, our own ideas of what we think we are. This vessel hears constantly people claiming their old challenges in the present, their old identities in the present, constantly. I'm very judgmental. I'm very afraid of this. I've always been this way. They bring all of that past into the present and claim it. The truth of the matter is, you actually don't know who, what, and how you are in this present moment. You know what you think you are based in history. So when we step out of the historical reference, we relax into our deepest, deepest feeling of being. And we let our truth be revealed. We don't have to go dig it up. It's already here. We're just relaxing all of the obstructions to it. Now, for most people, there is a great veil of fear surrounding that. Fear of what you're going to discover, fear of what you're going to have to face. And we tell you this is the time to hold the hand of that fear and relax. Allow the discovery. And very soon you will find it not only easy, but so joyful and exciting to head out the door. And discover that divine relationship in everything. You discovering ever more about your own being in relationship with everything. It's exquisitely joyful. It's so exciting. When we viscerally experience all that we are, all that we are, all that we can be. Now, we also want to remind you there's nothing wrong with knowing yourself through limitation. But we are ushering you into a state of being in which you can choose when to step into that joyfully, have the fun, have the adventure, and when you're ready, step back over to the present moment, openness and availability to even more of all that you are, even more ways to explore your potential, the potential of our realm here, the potential multidimensionally of all you are, of all we are, of all that is. Now, we can give you a very simple guidance. To practice this doesn't have to be grand gestures in the exact same way that we sat down here and simply breathed and relaxed. In the comfort of your home or in nature, you can simply center yourself. Take a good deep breath in. And feel that breath moving again into the core of your being with the intention, I'm so happy to allow the discovery of all that I really am. Now notice here, you're not asking questions. You're not in control of the process. You're surrendering to the process. And this is not a journey of discovery that needs to be rushed. It's a one and done. It's never done. It's a way of being. Let's take another good deep breath in. And as we relax, we say, I'm so excited to be in authentic divine relationship with all that I am. And we can take a simple moment before we head out the door. No matter where we're going, even if it's just to the backyard, we can take a nice, good deep breath in. And as we relax that breath into the core of our being, we can say, I'm so excited to discover what it is to be in divine relationship with everything today. Now, this intention is like an echo that just ripples out, ripples out, ripples out, ripples out. It's a signal, a transmitting signal of availability to be met divinely, to be met in divine relationship, to be met right where you are. When we gather with you, we always gather in divine relationship. We meet you right where you are, allow you to experience us as we are, authentic, sincere, open and available. Now, as a reminder, we can sense, as we have always said, we are in myriad forms, if you will, or identities, if you will, of divine energies, but we're simply higher and higher and higher and higher aspects of all of you. We are the higher aspects of whoever we're gathering with. So when we say that when we gather with you, we gather in divine relationships, we're the higher aspects of you in divine relationship with you, settling in deeper and deeper and deeper into your conscious awareness, making ourselves at home more and more and more in this realm through and as and with you. We've always said you are the avenue in for divine love. So as you soften into divine relationship, the availability to this, you're softening into the visceral awareness of us, present in the moment, in your awareness, in your life, in your moment, every moment. Now, we began this gathering using the word softening, and this is a great catalyst to use. The notion of softening. It carries a beautiful energy of assistance. So when you sit and you take that breath, have the intention to call in the assistance of that word, softening. This is my moment of softening. I'm entering into the process of softening. I'm intending the softening in my presence, in this moment, in my day, in my life, in my being. Now, there is more to be illuminated here by this vessel, but we are going to end this meditative portion here. And we do so by expressing our deepest, most excited gratitude for all that we do together. And in that togetherness, all that we contribute to the awakening, the quickening of the healing for all of humanity. Take a nice, good, deep breath in. Just let all of the softness of this field begin to soak into every aspect of your being as you bring your awareness very, very slowly back to your body. Just starting to be aware of the physical form that's sitting in your chair or laying on your bed. Still staying with that softened feeling here. Gradually starting to become aware of the space that you're in, your body, soft and relaxed in that room. Let's take another good deep breath in. Just let that breath continue to soften the body as you begin to touch your fingers to your thumbs. You can rub your palms together. Give yourself a good stretch. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. No, they want me to revisit something here that I've talked about many times in different ways, an experience from years ago in which I was shown sort of the mechanics of how we are one, of how oneness through relationship is experienced. So we're going to revisit the pink blouse experience. So for those of you who don't know or have forgotten, many years ago, I was getting ready for bed. I think I was on tour somewhere. And I was wearing a pink blouse. And I took off the blouse and I laid it across the back of a chair. And then I turned around and I walked across the room, and something made me stop and turn back around. I haven't told this in a long time. And when I turned around, all form was gone. The room was just oneness. And I am part and parcel of it. So it's all of these vibrations, these curtains, this field of vibrations moving, the continuum of colors and all of this kind of stuff. And I am part and parcel of it. And I start to see that the patterns, all these vibrational patterns, that they're streaming, I'm watching them stream into my left eye. And as they enter, as these various patterns enter through my left eye, I watch them travel into my nervous system, through my field, through my energy, being translated. Like just with extraordinary speed, these patterns entering this pattern, this composition of patterns, And there's this whole translation going on as pattern meets pattern meets pattern. All through my system, I'm watching this. I can see it all very clearly. And as energies are traveling through and being translated with the patterns within me, there's like a pixelation that starts, or an unpixelation, whatever. Things are starting to coalesce and come together through that translation that ultimately comes out to all kinds of things that we experience in our world. Space, dimension, color, shape, all of these kinds of things. So suddenly I can now see a pink blouse on a chair over there, all of which I can perceive because of this translation that happened in union in a field that I'm part and parcel of. But the combinations of all of these factors created what I perceived in that room. So I was well aware that this relationship created the world that I perceived. The patterns coming through me. Now, it's not just all the things that we're in an agreed upon fields of colors and shapes and distance and those sorts of things. It's also my thoughts about these things, right? Do I like it? Am I cold? All of it, the factors, all of it present in that moment. So in that moment, I understood very clearly my part in this. My composition of patterns as part of the creative component. Now, where the human experience comes in is that a lot of our patterns are mental and they're kind of harsh and limiting. They're judgments, they're fear, they're things that lock in place an inability to see anything but the sort of old expectations. So in this experience, what we're coming into now, and this has been referenced several times by consensus over the past few months, as we soften these patterns, as we relax expectation, as we relax the ideas of the formulas of how to create the perception of a lamp or a chair, as we relax all of that and we relax all of the veiled judgments about them or whatever, and we begin to, in here, begin to experience this just as the flow of love, not of Mary, but of love. We just relax, relax, relax. What comes into this field becomes different. We become able to have a different manifestation result in our translation. This is how water becomes wine. Make sense? But it started in here. The change was in here, to change what I'm perceiving out there. The translator and what's being translated, the formulas for translation changed, have to change. So in the softening here, we then begin to allow for all possibility. Remember, we're not just talking about visible little threads. We're talking about subatomic vibrations. We're talking about fields of subatomic vibrations. So as we relax, 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 oh my God, the scale of what's possible is endless. Do you see? Do you see the softening into divine relationship? To allow our presence to be in divine relationship with everything, to be met in divine potential. So you can see why it has to start within. It's way too big of an idea to leap out and go do that with everybody. We begin in here. What's translated in our own perceptions of ourselves, who and what we are and what we're capable of. You see how history and old identity limits that. This is a very big teaching that's coming here. But it's coming on the heels of last Sunday's up-leveling and recalibration, making our potential to, or a capability to really feel this, to take this in, to begin to walk in this, much easier now. As Consensus just said in our meditation, we're coming into this time now where we're beginning to experience the field of all it is, all that is, in the same way that Source does. All possibility and potential. From every vantage point, from every translation. But the translation is relationship between the patterns we're perceiving and the patterns we're translating those perceptions with. Perceiver and that which is perceived as one, just moving differently together. No, this is way too big for the mind. It's meant to bring the mind into relief. There's no way the mind is going to be able to get all of it. So in order to experience it, we have to just soften into all that's being transmitted here. All that's being beyond the mind, absolutely remembered, known, understood. You might imagine the whole vibrational field beyond our conscious awareness going, yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's how it works. Is this making sense? Everybody feeling themselves soft, absorbing all of this, because that's how this works. You see, we're opening up here your field, our collective field, to change the patterns, to change the things that are translating. We're doing it in this very moment. Actually, in my body, I can feel everything so beautifully soft and open. It's amazing. Now, just to reiterate what Consensus said, this isn't some grand effort. We have to keep it simple. This is literally about stopping, bringing in the intention or the tone of softening, and then taking that good breath down into the center of our being and being excited for the discovery. Now, that word discovery is important because it reminds us that we don't know what we're going to find. We don't know what it looks like. That's the discovery. Divine relationship. It holds in it the energy of truth. It holds the energy of potential. It holds the multi-dimensional possibilities. It holds the excitement of co-creation, of a world made new. I love you so much, and our time together will be of benefit to all beings. Namaste, namaste. Bye.